my tenure of being a fan of Descendants of Zombies, I've truly had the experience to really fall into a niche that I never imagined would go on to be so supportive and incredibly dedicated to whom what they've loved so much. Because I think what we have to take the time to really understand and truly put into perspective is just how much Descendants of Zombies truly means to over 10.5 million of us, probably even more, who have kind of gradually fallen in love with this product over time because it was more than just a story, like was first told to us in High School Musical for Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens' characters Troy Bolton and Gabriela Montez, who became the definitive power couple of their generation. That torch would eventually be passed to power couples like Zed and Addison from Zombies because their love story would go on to be one of the most cherished of all time. There has never been a love story that's been so powerful quite like Sid and Addison's was for at least over 7 years. While 7 years was a very short time to have experienced everything we did at the expense of Zed and Addison, Meg Donnelly, and Milo Manheim, it was a story that I know will hold a very special place in all of our hearts for the years to follow. And so too will Victor and Nova's stories, of course, Freya Sky and Malachi Barton's characters. Malachi Barton has held a very special place in all of your hearts, and as to mine, because I've come to realize just how supportive you guys have been of his story and really been one person who has caught the eye of more people than probably ever given credit for. And I just want to, put it out there that I have so much respect for Malachi Barton and his fandom because they have truly came together and allowed me to experience really every emotion in the book. Together we felt emotionally connected and drawn into the story that Victor and Nova first experienced in Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires because we were ushering in a brand new generation because Zombies became the first ever story that ushered in a brand new generation. I believe one of the first franchises to ever do this and follow through with ushering in a brand new generation would have been Bunk from at least season 6 through 7 because of course the torch had been formally passed from what was a previous generation to a new generation, and now Descendants of Zombies have kind of followed suit, which is why I've really appreciated how Descendants of Zombies have kind of really carried on the tradition of really passing the torch rather than just saying goodbye to a series that could have had so much more done with it and seen so much more potential. Because what TV shows for Disney do are they really pave the groundwork for up and coming names and up and coming superstars who are really superstars in the making that seem to really evolve over time. Now, I know there are people who will always believe that Disney really serves as a stepping stone for what you have yet to become, but I really do believe that Disney is something that a lot of people may choose to say goodbye and let go of really soon. But, letting go of something relatively too soon never really gives you enough time to really become formally introduced to people who could be a part of a new generation, who could love you just as much as what your previous generation did. For many of you, you are new to Disney. For many of you, you are new to Descendants of Zombies, so this new generation is really the only thing that you've ever known. It's something you became formally introduced to, at least ever since 2024. For many fans who have followed this story from the ground up and really from the very beginning, ever since July 31st, 2015, we were never really ready to let go or say goodbye to a story that meant so much to our hearts, either Mal and Ben or Evie and Doug, whoever you loved so much, whoever your favorite characters were, all the incredible, truly unforgettable moments that you always held close to your heart, you were never really ready to let go of the story fully because you just wanted to see this story have a continuation and really offer something special and potentially give you even more to believe in. Forever, people will upload these thumbnails featuring Mal posing a return possibly by Descendants 6. We saw the same thing happen for Descendants 5 because people were expecting Red to kind of have ties to Mal, which pretty much just had the door closed on it and remain closed for really for forever. And we're seeing the same thing happen for Descendants 6. That would be a very interesting storyline and direction for this plot to kind of take, how Mal and Red could be potentially be cousins, and there could be more of a story kind of revealed for the future because that could really reveal Red and Chloe's greater purpose because of how much responsibility they have being the children of very revered Disney characters and classic story tales that have been told really thousands of times for at least the over 50 years that we've been Disney fans. Because for many of us, Disney is the only thing that we really grew up around. It was the one thing we valued. It was the one thing we got excited about every Saturday morning when we sit in front of our TV and catch the latest episodes of The House of Mouse or Aladdin or Spin Tales or DuckTales, whatever show you were a fan of. You just couldn't wait to see the latest episode of to see how much further these stories could be taken. I just recently kind of reviewed some shows that, had a lot of longevity on Disney Plus because one of the most beautiful things about Disney Plus is how it allows you to go back in time and kind of relive memories that you may have remembered from your childhood that you probably haven't seen in a long time. And some of those memories came at the expense of shows like Andy Mack and Boy Meets World, which was a huge show that I couldn't wait to watch every Friday night because I knew a lot of the cast members who had been a part of that show. I sent a lot of wrestlers down there from back in the 1990s, and I knew how much that show not only meant to my heart, but people who just couldn't wait to see what was going to happen next, and all for Corey and Topanga. I remember unforgettable episodes where Topanga was moving to Pittsburgh, and when Corey just couldn't understand why they just couldn't be together for the rest of their lives. I remember when she proposed to Corey, and Corey almost instantly agreed because he knew that he didn't want to really stand the thought of really realizing that his life could be spent without Topanga because the two of them were just meant to be together. So, of course, then they moved from Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, to, of course, New York, where they raised their own family. Of course, Riley and all these characters who kind of came together for the spin-off of Girl Meets World, which went on to achieve so much recognition and rarity. Which, getting to the point, I've really appreciated the longevity of some of these shows and how Disney has really extended the working relationship between some of their cast members, even if it was at the expense of ushering in a brand new generation of talent that we could have all taken something special away from. Because no matter who we were, we had a favorite Disney show: Andy Mack, Boy Meets World, Girl Meets World, Phineas and Ferb, Kim Possible, DuckTales, Spintails, Aladdin. There were so many wonderful shows from whatever generation you had the privilege and the honor of growing up from within. And because I was first introduced to Disney in the latter part of the 1980s, because I was a millennial, so as a result of coming into this world as a millennial, I went from watching Mickey Mouse short cartoons that were only about 5 minutes in length to watching what is now the Locker Diaries, which are vertical shorts that have become the number one most watched short series on Disney Plus, and that is huge. If there ever was one reason why I would go on to subscribe to Disney Plus along with everything else that is featured on there, it would have to be Descendants of Zombies for its rarity, for its longevity, for its tremendous heart, for its incredible dedication. And now, because of the success of Descendants of Zombies in its wake, we are seeing people like Malia Baker be presented incredible opportunities, like Ghost Girl, which is going to be a wonderful show that she's going to have the chance to become the lead character in for really the first time ever in her life. This is going to be one of the definitive shows that she is going to have a lead role solely. And of course, the name of the show, once again, is called Ghost Girl, and it's about a teenage girl who is investigating ghost sightings and ghost mysteries, kind of reminding me of Ghost Rider and shows like Alex Mack and shows like Are You Afraid of the Dark and the Babysitters Club that she had lead roles in also as members of the Midnight Society and of course as a member of the Babysitters Club, which really took her career to the distance. Now, this is a developing story. There are very few details on this, but of course, Malia Baker is going to don the lead role of a teenage girl who is investigating ghost sightings, which is really the first attempt for Disney to do anything quite like this because some of the shows that I remember from my childhood would have been Ghost Rider, would have been Are You Afraid of the Dark, would have been Goosebumps, maybe would have even been The X-Files, because those were the shows that kind of revolved around how people would kind of get involved and caught up within ghost sightings and investigations, and there was really so much to take away from that and a great deal of inspiration. So I guess from Malia Baker's perspective, this was really a dream of hers to have a lead role in a TV series, which is why I'm kind of really incredible to see where she takes this opportunity. Because being a member of the Midnight Society was one way of looking at it. And I was a guy who always wanted to discover the secret meeting place of the Midnight Society years ago because we never did find it where that secret meeting place was. It was just kind of an onset thing where they would tell scary tales that would come to life in front of a campfire. They'd throw dust upon the campfire and declare the approval of the Midnight Society for the tale they were about to tell. And of course, the 1990s version of Are You Afraid of the Dark was very different from the reboot of Are You Afraid of the Dark many years later, over 25 years and a half year later. We saw people like Malia Baker bring the cast of the Midnight Society to life in scary stories that would come to life before their very eyes and push the Midnight Society beyond their physical limitations and really challenge them in ways that we had never seen them before. But I really believe that upon the release of the pop narrative cover, which was digitally released back in early August for Malia Baker, she is on her way to receiving a tremendous amount of publicity and a tremendous amount of conversation that no doubt will revolve around everything that she has happening for her in the future. And I think her future has never looked brighter than probably anybody's. And I think she has one of the brightest futures to look ahead to, along with Freya Sky, who also has an incredible amount of things happening for her. An incredible amount of promotion is on the way for Freya Sky's second half of her Stars Align World Tour, which will kick off and commence in September. And of course, we have a lot of stuff happening in September. We not only have Freya Sky's Stars Align tour, but we have Kylie Control's first ever headline tour happening around the same time, within a few days apart from each other, and the Descendants Zombies Worlds Collide and now Camp Rock 3 tour, which is going to feature music from Camp Rock for the first time ever. And what I'm kind of hoping they're going to do is they are also going to feature songs from the original Camp Rock movies that are going to be reperformed by this new generation, kind of like what they did from the first half of the Descendants Zombies Worlds Collide tour. And what would be really interesting is if they actually took the original songs from, say, the first four movies and had this new cast kind of sing them. Now, I know that the number of people who are part of the Descendants and Zombies cast are very limited compared to what we had before from the first half. And I know there are a lot of people who have posted critical reviews, proceeded to post critical reviews on, the wake of the news that, of course, people like Kylie and Freya were never going to be a part of it because they had so much going on, and people started posting unnecessary rumors that kind of made a float to the surface online because people were trying to decipher, what was Disney really doing, and in terms of the direction, what direction were they trying to take this one in? But I think what the critics have failed to realize is that there are people who just want to go. If you pay attention to the comments that were first being posted about the Worlds Collide Tour in its second half, there are people who just want to go. And there are people who just want to live this one out and consider it to be one of the fondest memories of their childhood and their families' lives, because this is a moment that you guys have deserved for a very long time, which means you don't deserve criticism. You deserve to have the time of your life and take it for what it's really meant to be, remembered as, which is really a life-changing experience or a life-altering one, because you see heroes in your favorites. Because take it from a guy who's always known what it's like to be you and to feel like somebody down in a crowd who just wants to experience every emotional moment, every emotion in the book, who wants to cry, wants to laugh, wants to record videos of himself at the Worlds Collide Tour, experiencing it firsthand, posting everything on social media for the world to see. If you are somebody who is really caught up within all the excitement about the Worlds Collide Tour this fall, which will commence on September 25th, the next day Kylie Control's headline tour for the first time ever will commence, and Freya Sky's tour will kick off in September, which is going to run from September up until at least November of 2026. And I'm expecting a further expansion for Freya Sky's touring, because upon her tour concluding, she will head home, she will proceed to write new music, and then, of course, she will follow up her EP Stardust with a brand new album, which will be happening for her for the first time ever. I really think what we need to get for Kylie Control 2 is her first ever album, because releasing EPs with probably 5 songs featured on them is a perfect way of kind of introducing yourself to this new generation, because of course everything is digital now. People are listening to your music and streaming it all the time off Apple Music and YouTube. But, take it from a guy who used to line up for hours in the 1990s hoping he was going to get his hands on a limited edition of a CD from the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC that featured songs at the time like Bye 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 and Shape of My Heart, which were wonderful songs to remember your childhood because of and really from. This is something to be really excited about, because I could have only ever wished to have had the opportunity to do what you guys are doing and really have the chance to experience what you are experiencing now. Because I really believe that releasing albums now with beautiful artwork digitally will allow the numbers to skyrocket for people like Kylie Control and Freya Sky, if I could kind of get away with making an early prediction. We also have some featured films coming up for Kylie Control as late as 2027. Of course, she is going to be featured in the Zach Power animated feature. I'm not sure what kind of role she's going to have. I haven't really looked into it, but I've seen brief reports of how she's going to be in this brand new animated feature, which will be happening for her for the first time ever. You know something? I'm really surprised they haven't invited Freya Sky to be the voice of a character for the reboot of the Phineas and Ferb TV series. I say this because when I think about Freya Sky, I think about her resembling a character from Phineas and Ferb. She just has the look of somebody who could be an animated character for Phineas and Ferb. And why not bring back Zombies, the reanimated series, and tell it from the perspective of Victor and Nova? That would be kind of really cool. So you want to talk about opportunities that could be presented to people like Freya and Malachi. Why not give them the opportunity to retell their story through the eyes of a third or a fourth season of Zombies, the reanimated series? We had the first two seasons focusing on Zed and Addison's story. So because the first two seasons focused on Zed and Addison's story, why not take the season 3 and 4 of this series, reboot it, retell the story through the eyes of now Victor and Nova? Because we've seen it done with the Locker Diaries, and of course there is a potential second season of the Locker Diaries in the works that could feature the cast of hidden heroes, which would be kind of really cool. I think that 11 or 12 episodes focusing on what the future is looking like and shaping up to be for Descendants would, offer us more than probably ever before. So, as a result, as we end this conversation this evening, there is so much of a potential future to really look at and to be more excited about than ever before, especially with everything that we've kind of put behind us over the last at least 72 hours with everything that's happened. We've got a lot to digest and a lot to get through, but because we are a stronger niche than probably every other niche that's kind of come before us and probably the strongest niche ever created, I think we will see it through. Because I remember the same thing happening with Cameron Boyce in the wake of his passing. Everybody came together and was incredibly supportive of him and his family and really everybody who was really at a loss for words, because I remember waking up that morning and being shown the story on somebody's phone and being absolutely blown away and left at a loss for words in my own perspective. And it took me some time to kind of think about what I was going to say. That was probably the only commentary I ever thought about what I was going to say ever before I pushed record, because as many of you know, I have never been somebody to think about what he's going to say before he pushes record. So after taking some time to kind of take a step back and truly think about everything he offered, ultimately his passing is one of the things that really brought us that much closer together and truly allowed us to feel a part of something that we could have only ever had the chance to experience because we came out on the other side of it stronger than ever before. And now in the wake of Hayden Panettiera's passing just 72 hours ago, it is really hard to believe that we are living in a world where we've lost way too many Disney stars way too soon. We have lost way too many Disney stars at relatively young ages way too soon. But it's nothing that we can't through together, because I think that forever and always they will always hold a very special place in our hearts, regardless if their names are Hayden Panettiere, whom we just lost this past Sunday, Cameron Boyce, because I think that how Nashville was received happened because of Hayden Panettiere, and it went on to achieve everything the way that she always wanted it to. And I'm sure that if Cameron Boyce were here, he would be more than proud to be endlessly supportive of what Descendants has really evolved into, which is something truly spectacular just to have the chance to kind of live through and really experience. So I think that, yes, while many fans of Descendants and Zombies have been made to feel obviously very different about what a future could detail for people like Kylie and Malia, who we know their friendship may have been, misinterpreted or taken out of context many times. But again, as I've often reiterated, we were never there. So we can only offer speculation, and speculation sometimes is never really the best thing to resort to, because nobody knows how they are truly feeling. Nobody knew what Hayden Panettiere was going through. So the only thing we could do is really speculate on what may have happened, what led to the situation that kind of unfolded over the last 72 hours, but it doesn't take away or overshadow just how wonderful of a person she was to be around and really to experience, because everything she offered to Disney, everything she offered to shows like Nashville and movies like Scream, there really was something to take away from everything she offered us that was truly inspirational and truly special to so many wonderful hearts. Which is why, I've often talked about how to appreciate time and really value how to put things into perspective. Because when you do that, you realize that, time always has a way of lapsing through every hourglass, always has a way of running out. So it's up to us what we do with the time we may have been allocated, which is why I'm a firm believer we should use that time to show a greater appreciation for the people we become surrounded by and the people who we just love so much. And I think there's no better way of experiencing that than through the power of Descendants of Zombies and the chance it has always presented us with. Having said this, thank you so much. Go be kind to each other and show your simplest acts of kindness, because you never seem to know how much further your simplest acts of kindness, even the simplest, can take you in this lifetime, because you never know who you're going to have the chance to kind of either become the best of friends with, fall in love with, because that's what makes these moments are what makes this life so special to experience. And I really feel as if there's no better way of experiencing this lifetime than by having the chance to experience it together. From my heart to yours, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video if you'd love to be a part of this conversation moving forward. Thank you so much for always having the time to watch and appreciate all of these videos, because from my heart to yours, there are truly no words that could ever begin to describe how this niche has made me feel as a dedicated commentary and a voice behind really the soundtrack that has proudly represented this world for quite some time. My name, of course, is Jonathan Clarke, and you are the fandom who's made me every bit of the person that I've become today. From my heart to yours, thank you so very much for always having the time to have watched and appreciated all of these videos.